Welcome to podcasts recorded live at the Center for Spiritual Living in Portland, Oregon. We have many programs, classes, and workshops developed just for our online audience. To find out more, go to our website at cslportland.org and look under the Online tab. Our mission is to open hearts, ignite minds, and make a difference. If you'd like to support our center and its video podcasts, you can donate online at cslportland.org/donate. Allow us to become part of your extended spiritual community. Wherever you are on your spiritual journey, you are most welcome at the Center for Spiritual Living.
Good morning and welcome to the Portland Center for Spiritual Living. We are a science of mind community that teaches spiritual principles to transform your life and make the world a better place. Wherever you are on your spiritual journey, you are welcome here. All we ask is that you stay open to the possibility of changing your entire life simply by changing your mind. My name is Nancy Ashley, licensed practitioner here, and I welcome you, especially all of our Facebook Live folks that are watching every Sunday at 11 o'clock. We have so many things going on here now. Wednesday meditations are on Zoom at 7 o'clock every Wednesday. And this week, the 20th, which is Inauguration Day, practitioner Kate Barrett will present a Taizé service to hold the entire country in a container of peace. We continue with our lunch with Reverend Larry on every Friday, and that's at 11:30, also on Zoom. And after a check-in this Friday, we'll be talking about how we can consciously act on behalf of spirit. We have Zoom groups for our Social Justice Book Club, which is the first Saturday of the month, and also our weekly 12-step program for women. We have a new program, which Reverend Larry has put a lot of work into, called 365 Earnest Homes. And you can sign up to get a daily Earnest Homes affirmation sent directly to your email inbox. And they are lovely. A picture with an affirmation and then an explanation presented by Reverend Larry. So they're beautiful. And you can get that by going to our website, www.cslportland.org/365. Or if you're just on our website, you'll be able to find that. So we have 2 winter classes coming up, which you've been hearing about. The first one is, I'll start with the one that starts first. The Essential Emma Curtis Hopkins is being presented by Reverend Marilyn Sprague and practitioner Kate Barrett. And Kate has been our Emma Curtis Hopkins expert for many years. So they are presenting the essential Emma Curtis Hopkins on Thursday evening starting December 4th through, what did I say? I'm sorry, February, 8 Thursdays, February 4th through March 25th from 6 to 9 p.m. And this is, of course, on Zoom. You can sign up for this on our website. And this will be focusing, Emma Curtis Hopkins is considered the teacher of teachers because Earnest Homes practiced with her and really she has what is called from zero to healer in 12 lessons that are with daily spiritual practices. It's a beautiful class that they are doing. We also have one called Spiritual Principles and Practices, and this is a new one which is replacing the old foundations class, but this one is only 5 weeks long. This will be led by Reverend Larry King, and we have 5 weeks on Tuesdays from February 2nd to March 2nd. And this one takes us through affirmative prayer, self-awareness, meditation, visioning, and gratitude, all of them to help you harness the power of the divine creative process. So more information about this is on our website, again, cslportland.org. And you can get all of the information. These are still available for sign up. We have a program that is so successful that the first class has already been filled up. This is the Power of 8 prayer group, Transformation Through Prayer. And this will be starting Tuesdays, January 19th. So that's this week that this will be starting. And this is a Zoom class, what do we call it? It's not a class, it's a 9-week commitment for people to come in, and each week one person will be the focus of the prayer for that week. And it's been very successful. The Saturday class is already filled up. So what we have is there is still space in the Tuesday group starting this week, which will be facilitated by Sylvia Kearns, our licensed practitioner and ministerial student. So we have lots of opportunities for you: Spiritual Principles and Practices, Essential Earnest Homes, and the Power of 8 group. So lots of things. Even though we're not meeting in person, we still have lots of ways to connect with you and to provide information on how you can transform your life. So there is also Sunday, February 7th, we will be hosting our quarterly town hall meeting, which is at 12:30 on Zoom. And the Zoom link, of course, will be on our website and also on our weekly email. And this quarter, we'll be covering the year-end program and financial results, our new budget for the year. And we're actually doing fairly well considering all that's been going on. So please join us then. Reverend Larry, would you like to come up and talk about a special event that we're doing?
Happy Sunday, everyone. Yeah, we have something special coming up, and it kind of brings a little bit of a tear to my eye to even talk about it. So here in Oregon, anyway, in March last year, we went through truly a lockdown period where it was kind of just me and the sound guy and the pianist doing our Sunday services. Due to the coronavirus, we really had to curtail virtually all of our live music, and it's very sweet. Recently, our music director, LaRonda Steele, came to me and said that our band members, our friends' band, were interested in putting on a benefit concert for us. And I got to tell you, it totally brought a tear to my eye. Well, anyway, this is probably too long of an explanation already, but on Valentine's Day, our band and LaRonda are putting on a lovely Valentine's Day concert starting at 1:30. So everyone's invited. It is a fundraiser for the church, so you can buy tickets, advance tickets on our website, cslportland.org. We'll have links, of course, and be talking about it more in the coming weeks. LaRonda has a few surprises planned for you. I think there's even going to be some VIP tickets for those of you who would maybe like some copies of some of her musical albums and so forth. So anyway, stay tuned. February 14th, 1:30 p.m., benefit concert. She's calling it a love offering, and it's going to be all, what do I want to say, personal music. So almost all of the songs have been written by our band members or LaRonda. It's going to be a very special afternoon. She said that I could act as the MC. I think that could be a mistake. We'll see. We'll see how that. I'm looking over at the band, and they're like, "Oh no." But I do know it's going to be a fun afternoon. Beautiful music, about an hour in length, starting at 1:30, and soon you'll be able to get a lot more information online. I think it's already open for advanced ticket sales, but stay tuned, and we'll explain more next week. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Reverend Larry. So are you on our mailing list? If you are not, you're missing out, because every week Reverend Larry puts out an email on Tuesday that says everything that's going on at our center during the next week, with ongoing regular programs like our social justice and transcendence, with our classes coming up, with the different meditations. And if you are not yet getting that, then please go to our website, cslportland.org, and you can sign up to get the weekly email. It'll give you all the Zoom links that you need and everything you ever wanted to know. As Reverend Sharon used to say, everything that's needed is in there. So we have special music today by Kellie Jones, who is one of our local participants here in our music program. Thank you, Kellie. And our congregational music will be by Kristen Amundsen, also one of our regulars here. Thank you. Our music is, our flowers are by Kat Jacobs. Thank you. And I think that's it. So sit back and relax, because we know that somewhere between the music, the meditation, and the message is exactly what your heart came to receive.
Meditation song today is God is, I am. God is, I am, right here, right
Thank you, Kristen. And knowing that God is here right now, I just breathe into that space, knowing that there is only this one power and presence, this infinite source of all that is. It is the life, the love, the law, the wisdom, all of the beautiful qualities of Spirit that are everywhere present. And knowing that Spirit is the source of all that is, I know that we are able to use these qualities in our own lives, that I am an individualized, unique expression of that oneness, that all of the life and love and law are fully present in me as me, that I am an expression of that oneness here in human form. And as this is true for me, I know it's true for every person here, that we are all beings of God, as God, that the qualities of life and love and law reside within us, awaiting our recognition, always present, always available. And so I claim and affirm for us today, as we focus on how Spirit is working in our lives, that we are claiming and affirming the divine creative process, using that law of cause and effect, is always present and available in our lives. And so as we are looking at this law and this divine creative process, we are able to be positive, affirming that everything is working to its highest and best good in our lives, in our communities, in our world. That this law of cause and effect is working based on our thoughts, our beliefs, our faith, and that we are the ones that are creating our own world, our own community. And so knowing that we are vehicles for God's expression in our lives, we know that we can use this divine creative process every day, every moment, as we direct our thoughts, our actions, our speech in a positive, loving manner, that we are able to create the lives that we are meant to have. And so I just give thanks for knowing this truth, for knowing that Spirit is working through me and through each one of us as vehicles for the expression of these beautiful qualities, that as the law is working with us, it is helping us to create that which is ours to do, that which is ours to perform, that which is ours to be in the world. And so I give thanks for this, for knowing this truth, for knowing that Spirit is always available, that it is with me, as me, always. And so I give thanks for knowing this. And I release my prayer into the action and activity of the law, knowing that the law works completely on our faith, our beliefs, our statements to ourselves and to others, that the law is manifesting according to our beliefs. And so I give thanks for this. I let it be, and together we say, and so it is. As we go into a few moments of meditative silence, I just invite us to focus on our consciousness of the love and the life present in us right here, right now.
I will surrender to my greatest, highest good. I will release any fear that blocks my way. For every step I take is taken My mind is willing and my heart is open wide. I trust my instinct and let spirit be my guide. I vow to live a life that's real and pure and free as I continue walking in this mystery. I surrender to my greatest, highest good. I release any fear that blocks my way. For every step I take is taken in pure faith. And I am grateful every moment, every day. There may be walls, there may be roadblocks in my way, but I can choose to take a higher path each day. And now I know what I thought was safe and sound was only habit and regret holding me down. I surrender to my greatest, highest good. I release any fear that blocks my way. For every step I take, it's taken in pure faith. And I am kinder every moment, every day. I'm more loving every moment, every day. I surrender every moment, every day.
Kellie Jones, thank you so very much. A perfect song for today. I love it. Well, welcome everyone. So glad you're here. We like to start each Sunday, of course, with music and celebration. And today we're embarking upon a continuation of our Back to Basics. Every year in January, we present a series that we call Back to Basics, and in 4 short weeks, you learn everything you need to know about the science of mind. Well, maybe not everything, but at least you get the foundational material of it. So the first week, we talked about God. As with most of the world's religions, we believe that God is all-wise, all-power, everywhere present. And unique, though, perhaps to the science of mind, we believe that God is everywhere present because God is actually in everything. So every person, every place, everything, every situation, it's all part of God. So God isn't like watching, God is it. God is right in the details. God is right where your thoughts are. When we pray, the only person that has to be aware of that prayer is you, because your thoughts are part of God's thoughts. And so that's how we perhaps are a little different in that idea of God being everywhere present, because God's, of course, everywhere present, because God is in everything. We also, this last week, talked about God being immanent, the idea that God is present rather than that sort of fatherly figure on a chair somewhere. We don't ascribe a sex or a human characteristic of spirit. We recognize that it is the allness of all things. Well, last week we expanded that idea of everywhere present to include us. If God is everywhere, that means you and I are also part of God and even acting on behalf of God. So when we're going about our daily business, it is a part of God acting out God's free will. It's why you have the ability to do all of the things you want to do, that ultimate gift from Spirit given to us of our free will. Now, I will mention last week we also talked about the fact that sometimes our free will can kind of run amok. It isn't always there to serve us in a positive way. Sometimes our free will allow us to do things that are absolutely against us and other people. And so we have to be mindful of that blessing, but also that obligation as we're acting on behalf of Spirit. Let us seek our good, but not at the expense of other people. Well, today we're going to add a fourth principle about what we believe in our science of mind philosophy, and it talks about how we interact with God. Let me read from chapter 3 what it does in the Science of Mind textbook. So this is from Earnest Homes, the founder of the Science of Mind, in his famous 1938 textbook. He says, "We are surrounded by a mind or an intelligence that knows everything, that this potential knowledge of all things exists in this mind, and the abstract essence of beauty, truth, wisdom, and so on coexist in the mind of the universe. We also exist in it, and we may draw from it, but what we draw from it, we must draw through the channel of our own minds." And you know, one of the sort of catchphrases that he then uses later on in the chapter, and that Science of Mind is a little famous for, is the idea that our thoughts become things. That those thoughts that are swirling around in our mind or pop in and pop out actually have an effect. That law that Nancy talked about in her opening prayer, that law receives those thoughts and acts upon them. Well, in lieu of a joke today, I have hopefully an amusing story. You know, when I very first started, gosh, it must be 10 or 11 years ago, of doing these particular series of Back to Basics, someone had asked me, "Well, Larry, really? You mean like every thought is creative? Even kind of some of the random thoughts I have?" And of course, I remember all those years ago, I said, well, it's really just the generalized thought patterns of our mind. It's our general positiveness. It's the thoughts that we hold really close to us. It's not just random thoughts. It's not like if you thought of a blue elephant, you would actually peek out the window and see a blue elephant. And I remember that was my example that particular year. Well, a year passed. Again, this is like 10 years ago. And one of the congregants says, "Well, are we going to get the blue elephant story today?" And so I kind of made fun of it that year. I remember, and if you look out the window, I went over to the window and looked out. It's not like you're going to see a blue elephant, just a random thought. But you know, it's interesting because at that point, the idea, at least of a blue element in my mind, wasn't so random anymore. People were talking about it. And so fast forward another year, and I thought, I'll bring up the blue elephant again. And I said that year, it wouldn't surprise me if I looked out the window that I would see a blue elephant. And everybody laughed. Well, it was a rainy, kind of miserable Sunday. And when I went out later in the day to get into my car, I was very annoyed because someone had stuck one of those flyers under my windshield wiper blades. And I thought, oh, great, someone's selling automotive parts or who knows what. And so I got out in my suit looking nice, but the rain's pouring down, and I pull it out, and it's a picture of a blue elephant. Someone had decided, no, we'll prove to Larry you have enough thoughts of blue elephants, and we'll provide you with one right in the parking lot. Just like you said, if you look out of the window, you might find one in the parking lot. Well, since then, I got to tell you, a year or two later, I even have now my blue elephant mascot. Someone gave me this cute little figurine of Ganesh, one of the Indian gods, which is a blue elephant. And since then, I have changed my talk on this particular Sunday of the year. I do believe that every one of our thoughts, even the random ones, even the ones that it's hard to find the meaning of them, do have an effect on your life. Now, some of them, when they're very fleeting and not repeated, you may not notice the effect. But the reason I bring this up is, the reason that this is so important is, we need to be good stewards of the thoughts that are going on in our minds. Our thoughts will tend to outpicture. Have you ever really looked forward to something or really put a lot of energy into one particular thought going in your lives, whether it's a positive one or a negative one? I will tell you, the more energy, the more repetition, the more consciousness, the more visualization that we put into a thought or belief, the more oomph we put into it, the more personality and warmth we put in it, the easier it is for us to picture in our mind. We're building up what Earnest Homes called a mental equivalent. And when our mental equivalent is strong and we've weeded out some of the things that are contrary to it, that is the perfect recipe for ushering in that experience into your life. I would like to say that it's infallible, and I think it is infallible, but what I also know is sometimes it takes a while, right? It took really kind of a couple years for that blue elephant to materialize. And so sometimes the timing on it seems more like God's time than your time. But what I do know is that our thoughts become things, that our ability to visualize, accept, and promote in our own mind that which we would like to experience is what will bring that experience to fruition, through fruition. It's not magic, it's not mumbo jumbo. It is what we call the divine creative process. It's interesting, too, Earnest Homes picked it up almost as a symbol of our movement. And I'll ask our videographer, Mark, if he would display the symbol that represents the science of mind as a particular religious organization. So it looks a little bit like a circle with three strata or three lines in it, and then a V, a descender, which shows what Earnest Homes called the descent of thought into form. So let me really quickly talk about this symbol, because it not only stands for the science of mind, but it also illustrates this divine creative process. So the top third of the symbol represents our thoughts. The middle strata, or the middle layer, in fact, you can think about it as one of those three cheese dips that has three layers. The middle layer of our dip is what we call the divine creative process. And then the bottom layer of it is what is manifested. And that V represents the idea that we place our thought into this divine creative process. And then something will manifest out into the world as a result of it. So our thoughts do become things. You can almost think of it as a gardening metaphor, if you like. We plant a seed in at the top, a seed hopefully of love and light, thoughts of joy and peace, that enters into the divine creative process, that middle layer of the symbol. And then we get to experience that in the world. We get to really relish and experience that love, that peace, that joy, whatever we planted into the top of that. And just with the assurity that if we plant in the ground a camellia seed, we'll get a camellia plant, or if we plant a rose seed, we'll get a rose bush, so we can be content and confident that if we plant joy into our mind, if we plant peace into our mind, those are the kinds of experiences that we will get to have more of. It's just simple, and that's why we call it that divine creative process. It's why we call it a law. It works for everyone. It works with consistency and so on. Now, the other thing that I often get asked is, well, Larry, if this is true, then why is there so much trouble in the world? Why do we not see people just wandering around in bliss all of the time if it's that simple? Well, it is that simple, but it doesn't mean that people consciously take advantage of it. You see, this process, the divine creative process, it's working whether you're aware of it or not, and it's working whether you're conscious of using it or not. So how many of your thoughts are actually conscious? You know, they did a study not too long ago, brain scientists, and they discovered that upwards of 80% of our thoughts are just pretty random. We're not actually in charge of thinking things on purpose. We tend to just repeat the same thoughts over and over again in our mind. And there's no trouble, of course, with being on autopilot a certain amount of our lives. That's what gets us through some really boring situations in life. I get that. But what I also get is that if sometimes those thoughts that are running around in our head are thoughts of worry or trouble or sadness or despair, it's like we're putting into that divine creative process the exact things that we would hope not to experience. But the law doesn't know any better. When we place into that law, into that divine creative process, thoughts of worry and negativity, the scenarios that we don't want to play out, unfortunately, those too will attract to us even the things that we don't want to experience. So back to my metaphor of the idea of planting a seed in the soil and making sure that it's the kind of garden you want to have. Well, obviously we don't purposefully go around planting seeds that are going to produce weeds, right? That would be the gardener's nightmare, to open up a package of seeds and you're hoping and thinking it's nasturtiums and instead it's nettles or something crazy like that. So I would suggest we have to choose our seeds, our thoughts, our beliefs pretty carefully, or we're going to get a mess. Right now in America, I know a lot of us, as we head into the inauguration of a new president, a new 4 years of a different kind of leadership in Washington, I know right now the country is somewhat divided over that. There are many, many, many people very consciously in their minds wanting that to happen, and another group of people, a large number of people, wishing that something different were happening. We're all putting into that divine law of creation different ideas of what should happen. It's like we're throwing pretty randomly seeds of trouble and despair, and at the same time, some people are super happy with what's going on, right? And so you have this amazing garden that could exist, and instead, all of us are pretty randomly throwing our own seeds at it with a lot of emotional impact. And I got to tell you, what that's apt to produce is a mess. So if you want to ask me, why does God allow what happened last week in Washington, D.C., I would say God didn't allow it or disallow it. It was simply the divine creative process at work. All of us coming to different conclusions and different thoughts and different beliefs about what is true and what is good will produce a mix-up, will produce a mess. Now, what doesn't have to happen, though, is the amount of emotional energy that we put into it. When we use the divine creative process with a lot of emotional energy, that's kind of like the gasoline. That's kind of the fuel that allows that to quicken and go faster and be more pronounced. And what I would say, now is a time perhaps more of moderation of some of our thoughts. Back to the talk last week, we said, can my good come at the expense of no one else? Can I not achieve my goals and my desires without harming anyone else? And so that would be the question as we're doing our gardening bit, as we're curating the thoughts that we wish to experience out in the world. We should ask ourselves, if my dream were to come true, if my heart's desire were to play out, can I make sure that other people's dreams, other people's heart's desires can likewise come true? Shall I not think that my good has to come at the expense of someone else? And so as we use this law, as we use this wonderful divine creative process to make our lives better, to enrich the world, let us be careful about that use. First of all, let's not put things in it that will harm ourselves and others. Let's try to disrupt any cycle of worry and tragedy that's running around in our heads. Because if we worry that the worst is going to happen strongly enough, it will tend to produce negative outcomes for us and other people. Let us put aside, to the degree that we can, worry about unfavorable outcomes or tragedy. Let us instead move our thinking towards the positive. What would be the best outcome for everybody? How might we hold up this situation on high through the eyes of love and joy and peace? And then what will happen is those will be the qualities of our own experience of the world, and it will tend to promote those qualities for other people as well. The other piece of it, of course, I just mentioned, let us not have our vision blocking someone else. Let us not know that our truth has to come at the expense of someone else. And if we start seeing our good as being limiting to other people, let's revise that. Let's think again about that. Let's decide in our own heart that we all can be raised up, that no one need be marginalized or suffer. Well, let me talk about a brief summary today. We've added a fourth key principle to our beliefs. Let me recap all four of the primary picture of God and spirituality that we've built up this month. First, God is all there is. Also, God is immanent, that it's present in the here and now. And you'll notice I'm calling God it, not he, not she, not some superhuman guy sitting on a cloud judging us, right? Everywhere present. And also, we're each an individualized spirit, each one of us acting on behalf of God with the free will that God has so purposefully given to us. Today, we added a fourth characteristic, that God responds to our thinking, that in fact, our thoughts become things. If we spend a lot of time thinking about the positive, thinking about how our lives can be enriched, thinking about the goodness and joy that we're promised in so many of the world's scriptures, well, that will tend to be our experience of the world. If we focus overly on our friend the blue elephant, yes, one may even end up appearing in the parking lot, much to our surprise. And unfortunately, if we focus on something negative, if we worry about our life unfolding in a negative way, that too is apt to outpicture in a way that may be unexpected, but nonetheless, maybe should be expected. If our thoughts become things and our thoughts are negative, to a degree, we can almost expect then to be a witness to negative things. I have some homework for you, and I think it'll be fun. You know, one of the other things that Earnest Homes, the founder of the Science of Mind, was famous for was kind of doing a little bit of a dare scenario. Like, I dare you to prove this to yourself. He was very much for saying, you know, you don't have to believe anything that we say. This is just really more a philosophy rather than a dogmatic religion. And in a philosophy, it's very common to want to prove some of the beliefs to yourself. And so I would like to issue to you today the Earnest Homes Challenge as part of your homework. And the challenge is a simple one. Take any area in your life where there's some kind of a situation that you'd like to improve. So it could be a health situation that you'd like to improve. It could be a work situation that you'd like to improve. Maybe there's a relationship that you'd like to take to the next level of love and intimacy. Just pick an area in your life where you'd like to see some improvement. And then here's the challenge. 3 times a day, I would like you to bring into your mind a successful enhancement or resolution of that particular issue. So let me give you an example of how you might accomplish that. First thing in the morning when you get up, I want you to picture in your mind's eye that particular situation as it was just as good as it could possibly be. So if it's a relationship, picture it just marvelous, that ultimate friendship, that great love. If it's a working situation, picture in your mind's eye that working situation as outstanding as it could possibly be, that it has the benefits you want and the coworkers that are all copacetic, and that it's really using your talents and so forth. Whatever that situation in its highest and best could look like. That's what I'd like you to do first thing in the morning. And don't obsess about it. Just spend maybe 5 minutes first thing in the morning imagining that situation in your life is completely healed or completely enhanced. Okay, now for those of you that have an alarm watch or can set an alarm on your phone or something, then what I'd like you to do is about 4 hours later, kind of noonish, 1 o'clock, when you get to take a break in the afternoon, I'd like you to sit down and just repeat to yourself a few things about that particular situation. You might say to yourself, my relationship with my spouse has never been better. My relationship with my job is first rate, and the job gives me great satisfaction, and I'm rewarded with amazing benefits. So just say to yourself, and if you can, even say it out loud, because I think there's a positive impact of even repeating things out loud. You get to hear it as well as picture it in your own mind. But anyway, just again, for about 5 minutes midway through the day, make a few statements, either mentally or verbally or both, about that situation in its most beautiful outplaying. So you might say, this particular issue is perfectly resolved. My health is robust. I have all that energy I wish to experience. Whatever it is, and however you would like that situation to be enhanced or resolved. And then the third part of it, because I'm asking you to do this 3 times during the day, maybe right before you retire, if you would, just write down, take a pad and pencil maybe next to your bed, or you could do it on a tablet or on your phone even, and just write down again 3 things or 4 things about this situation, visualizing it and seeing it in its perfect outcome. So you might write down in your journal that night, I see my relationship as completely loving and supportive. I see my relationship as being ever stronger. I feel a love for my friend that is deep and complete. Okay, so now how do we take the Earnest Homes Challenge? We do that just for a week, and then we simply evaluate it. Is this situation improved? And so I'm hoping that some of you next week, maybe in the comments on Facebook Live, or maybe you would send me a little email and see how taking the Earnest Homes Challenge works out for you. My experience is that just through doing this simple thing, now remember, we've only we've only allocated 10 or 15 minutes a day to doing this? And yet, by focusing our mind on something beautiful and wonderful, oh my gosh, the difference that it can make. All right, I'm going to close with a final reading from the book today and a prayer. So this is how Earnest Homes closes out the chapter, this particular chapter, on what it does. When we think, something happens to our thoughts. The field through which thought operates is infinite, and there's no reason to doubt this. Here and now, we are surrounded by and immersed in an infinite good. How much of this infinite good is ours to experience? All of it. And how much of it may we have to use today? As much of it as we can think of and embody. Let us pray. There is one power, one presence, one life, one love. There's only this thing called God, and I live in the midst of it and work on behalf of it. And as it is true for me, it is true for everyone present. Everyone in the planet has this capability of co-creation with God. as we begin working through our thoughts and our beliefs, as we begin presenting with more definitive qualities what we wish to experience, as we begin thinking of the good life, as we begin thinking of wonderful relationships, as we begin speaking about our joys and our dreams, what I know is that God takes those thoughts and makes them real. Our thoughts become things. And so I'm grateful for this knowledge, grateful that we all might more consciously use this particular divine law of creation. I'm grateful for everyone participating in it more willingly. Of course, it's working whether we believe in it or not. It's working whether we're aware of it or not. But our ability to use it purposefully becomes stronger and stronger. And for this, I give great thanks. For this, I have some assuredness as I set this prayer into motion. I release it into that divine law of creation, knowing that it is done unto me as I believe. And together we say, and so it is. Thank you so much for being here today. Such a pleasure to have you with us on Facebook Live. Now is our time of conscious giving. If you'd like to take your gift in your hand, in this case it might be your phone or your tablet, because I know that many of you are logging on to cslportland.org right now, going to the link, the donate link at the bottom of the homepage and making some kind of a donation. Your donations are gratefully received. It allows us to put on this program every Sunday and the many programs that are blessing this planet as it goes around the world through our podcasts, our video channel on YouTube, and the many other ways that we reach out to people. So thank you so very much. And I think it's time for another beautiful song from Kellie Jones. Come on up, Kellie. Thanks.
All right.
All right. Come on. Anything is possible when you believe. Anything is possible when you believe. Faith can make a mountain move. You believe. Faith can make a mountain move when you believe. Don't you know that you can change your life when you believe? Don't you know that you can change your life when you believe in yourself? When you believe in yourself. When you believe in yourself. When you believe in yourself. When you believe, gonna make a miracle when you believe. Gonna make a miracle when you believe. Everything you want, you got when you believe. You know, everything you want, you got when you believe. You got it. In yourself. When you believe in yourself. When you believe in yourself. When you believe in yourself. When you believe, I believe in me.
Well, that was fun. A little dancing in the aisles, I think there. Sweet. Thank you so much, Kelly. Gosh, what a blessing. Another blessing that we have available to us, of course, is prayer support. If there's something going on in your life, and gosh, there's a lot going on in the world right now that might be distressing. If I'm describing you, consider asking for some prayer support. You know, we used to offer a quick tune-up here in the sanctuary with our licensed practitioners. Well, it's still available to you in many ways. Of course, it's just online now. If you go to our website, cslportland.org, at the bottom of every single page, there's a link for making a prayer request. If you fill out one of those prayer requests, we have the system set up to automatically email those out immediately to all 10 of our licensed practitioners and ministers. And they start praying for you right away, and they'll continue to pray for you throughout the week. So please take advantage of that. It's something that we can do to support you more directly and more personally. The other thing I just want to point out for those of you who took Nancy to heart with her thought about that Power of 8 prayer group, today, I believe, is the last day that you can sign up for that Saturday group. So do go online if you're interested in being supported by 8 other people as part of a prayer practice once a week. It's just a short commitment on Zoom, and you'll have 8 other people that you support and who are supporting you. So I do recommend that, but I believe today is probably the last day that you can sign up for that. Bless you all. Thank you so much for contributing to our good work here, to the message that we have going out throughout the world through our many media methods of getting the word out. Thank you so much. Let's have our closing song. Kristen, would you come up and lead us? Thank you.
Close today with Blessed Always.
If you happen to be in the Portland, Oregon area, we'd love to have you visit in person. The Portland Center for Spiritual Living is located at 6211 Northeast Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard. We have inspirational services at 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. every Sunday. We also have many programs, classes, and workshops developed just for our online audience. To find out more, go to our website at cslportland.org and look under the Online tab. We have a variety of content dedicated specifically for our online listeners. Our mission is to open hearts, ignite minds, and make a difference. If you'd like to support our center, You can donate online at cslportland.org/donate. Our website is also the place to learn more about what's going on at the center or to contact us. Allow us to become part of your extended spiritual community. Wherever you are on your spiritual journey, you are most welcome at the Center for Spiritual Living.